Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever it is that you are, wherever you may be. Thank you very much for making us a part of your day. I am Brad Franklin, Digital Media Relations Manager here in Chesterfield. Very glad to tell you that Chesterfield Behind the Mic is on the air once again. Now, as we record this, there's a winter storm coming. It's arctically cold. And who doesn't want to talk about getting in the pool at this amazing time of year? I'm very glad to have Adam Kennedy, who is the Executive Director of SwimRVA, on the show to talk about everything that SwimRVA does, not just here in Chesterfield, but elsewhere as well. First, Adam, welcome to the podcast, sir. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
I very much appreciate your time. Very much appreciate you coming on the show and talking to us about SwimRVA. I always like to start with a little bit of an intro, give folks a sense of who they're hearing who they're hearing from. I always like to give the listener a chance to, get a sense of, where you've been and what kind of work you do and that kind of stuff. So tell me a little bit about your background and how it is that you came to be involved in this line of work.
Oh, thanks, Brad. It's a life's passion. So I grew up swimming. I had the privilege to do that. My parents made it a priority,
right.
And then I had a chance to continue swimming at a young age, and
yeah,
was a competitive swimmer. It helped put me through college. I went to school in Carolina at Davidson,
okay.
And after that, I knew just about nothing. I was a history major, and I said, you know what, I got something good here. So I started coaching swimming. Took me to around the country, literally. Started in upstate New York at Colgate, went to Ohio U, did my graduate work there, and then I was at U.S. Naval Academy in Annapolis and coached the men's team. And then after that, I went to University of the Pacific, the men's and women's teams. So here I am, right? I'm a Division I head coach. I got 2 programs. I've got scholarships, the whole nine. It's a fantastic deal. I'm out in California. I got Stanford Cal coming to my invite. Yeah. And at the end of the day, we were in the North Central Valley in Stockton, California.
Okay.
And it was 2008 to 2011 that I was there, and the economic turndown happened, and the city went bankrupt. And the first thing they did was they closed all the city pools. Yeah, and I started to get conscious of this idea that not everybody has the opportunity to learn to swim. Yeah, I started to get conscious to this idea that drowning is the number 2 cause of death for kids 14 and younger, number 1 for kids 1 to 4. And so the idea of taking kids, that are really fast swimmers and making them faster started to fade away, and I started to get involved. Long story short, I got an advertisement that came across my desk. A friend who knew me, who knew my passions, where I was headed, and he said, you got to take a look at this. And so I read it, and it said, hey, come to Richmond. We're going to teach every child to swim. Yeah. That's our mission. And I said, I'm interested. I got on a plane. I came to Richmond. The first person I met was Bobby Ukrop. Okay. And it was very clear from the word go he was serious. And so SwimRVA was born. Yeah. And I moved to Richmond, came across the country, and this is now home. Yeah.
I can imagine as somebody who I've loved to swim my whole life. I was a lifeguard when I was in high school and early college. And, now looking back on it, I try to get in the pool as often as I can because, look, I'm not getting any younger, right? These joints, they're gonna start to betray me at some point, right? So the idea of swimming is such a good exercise. But to your point, there's so much more than just the exercise piece of this. I'm somebody who likes to start wide, drill in a little bit. Let's frame it like this. How would you describe SwimRVA and the work that it does for the community?
So we're here to build an aquatics culture. Richmond, way before SwimRVA, had one of the richest competitive aquatics culture, pound for pound. For a locality and a region our size, as a college swimming coach, as a recruiter, I knew about Richmond. Right. Some of the best swimming teams in the whole country are right here. Right. But at the end of the day, when you get in, you start peeling back the onion, we have a very robust aquatics culture as it relates to our summer leagues. We have 5 major summer leagues, from the Tri-Cities and the Southside League right through the Richmond Metro. And it is unbelievable. The Chesterfield Aquatic League is the largest. I mean, it is unbelievable what is happening. There's over 10,000 unique swimmers every summer who are competing. Right. But then you go a little bit deeper and you find out, look, if you've got a pool in your neighborhood, you've got access, you've got opportunity, but not everybody has that. And so, what SwimRVA is here to do is make sure that aquatics are open, they're accessible, and they're available to everybody. And that means we've got to cross, economic barriers. Right, yeah. Right, we have to think about the racial spectrum. In the 1950s, we said, blacks and whites can't swim together. Right. And at the end of the day, we're still paying the price of that today. Right. And so SwimRVA is here to change the narrative and to make sure that everybody has access and everybody has the programming that they need from cradle to grave to stay healthy, active, and fit, no matter what happens to him. You hit the nail on the head that we can't run the UCROPS Monument Avenue 10K when we're 99 years old. But we can get in the pool and get in that water aerobics class, and we are going to stay healthy, active, and fit. But what's more is we're going to stay connected.
Yeah, I can swim those 1,000 meters a lot better than I can run 1,000 meters. I can tell you that. Now, real quick before I forget, roughly how many employees we talking for SwimRVA across your various facilities?
So SwimRVA is now operating 4 facilities throughout the region. We operate programming in 6. And to do that, we have a workforce of 240 to 280. Okay. We scale up in the summer because we do have a seasonal home.
Right. And maybe this is hard to put your arms around really, but how has it changed over time? Is that roughly what you've been? Have you grown significantly in the recent years? Like, what's that number look like compared to maybe 5-10 years ago?
Oh my goodness! So you're looking at employee 1. Literally, my employee number is 1, and I was given a little space to work, and then the first thing I did was buy a laptop. So SwimRVA literally started from nothing. It was an idea.
Right.
This idea, every single child in Richmond is going to learn to swim. So that was 2012 or 2011, and then we opened our world-class aquatic center, the region's world-class aquatic center here in Chesterfield County, in April of 2012.
Yeah.
And from there, we grew from, 20, 30 associates to where we are today. We didn't really take off. We didn't move into be a multi-site service delivery vehicle until 2020 or 2019, just before the pandemic.
Right.
And that was, we got involved with a partnership with the Salvation Army. They've got a pool in East Richmond. It was a Boys and Girls Club. Now it's a Red Shield Youth Center.
Okay.
But it's a building that was built in 1970. And they came and they said, hey, look, we've got this pool. We think we can do a lot of good.
Right.
And we looked at it and we said, my gosh, this is unbelievable what you have and what you're sitting on.
Right.
But the pool was inoperable.
Right.
It wasn't working anymore. But there are thousands of kids who learn to swim in that pool throughout the decades. So at the end of the day, we partnered with the Salvation Army and helped them renovate not just the pool, but what turned out to be a full clubhouse renovation. Nice. It was an $8 million project. And now there's a neighborhood center in East Richmond at 3701 R Street. That is unbelievable. Yeah. We signed on to be the aquatic center programmer and operator year-round, and that was site number 2.
Gotcha.
After that, in 2021, really as a result of the pandemic and social distancing, we got involved in Meadowbrook Country Club, and the pool was sitting there, and the country club wasn't using it to its fullest, and the membership said, you know what, we really want to attract more families, we really want to have a more lively aquatics culture, and we said, well, we really need space, and so those two things matched. We put a heater in line. And then in 2021, we put an air dome over the pool.
Oh, yeah. Put the bubble.
We got the bubble. So we've got now a year-round, 365-day facility at the old Meadowbrook Country Club. So now we have 2 locations in Chesterfield, 1 in East Richmond.
Right.
In 2021, later that year, the old Chickahominy Aquatic Association, or the Chamberlain Rec Association in North Henrico, called and said, look, we got 6 acres and do 2 pools, but we can't make a go of it anymore.
Right.
Can you help us? And we met with the neighbors and we met with the community and we said, gosh, is this really important? It's really important to us.
Right.
And the resounding answer was yes. And so that became location number 4.
Yeah.
And so now we're in North Henrico. We have 2 in Chesterfield and we have 1 location in East Richmond.
Yeah. It sounds like it's interesting because as you're sort of describing kind of where you guys have been, it almost sounds like as much as you are doing, the work of safety, right? The idea of making sure everybody can swim, be comfortable in the water, that kind of thing. There's also this idea, and I don't know if this is intentional or it's just a byproduct of your focus, but it's almost like you're sort of salvaging aquatic culture, because you referenced several of these places where these were existing locations where people had learned how to swim who'd used those facilities, and now that for whatever reason those facilities were no longer working for whomever was in charge of them, and you guys can come in and basically sort of renovate them and get them back to where they need to be, and so you've sort of rescued the culture of that space. Is that fair to sort of?
Brad, you got me smiling. I mean, we had a board meeting yesterday, and it's like you peeled back the curtain without even being there and looked into our strategy. But at the end of the day, there are pools like this all over our community, right? And I'm talking about the greater Richmond region,
right?
And I don't know, 20, 40, 50 of these pools that were built in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, right? It's 2025. They're well beyond their usable life.
Right.
They're one pump failure away from disaster.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, that's a crime because these pools mean so much to the communities, mean so much to the neighborhood. It's where people come together, right, as a community. Right. They recreate, they get to know each other. And what we see is an opportunity. let's get in, let's rejuvenate these.
Right.
They're not beyond their usable life. We can bring them back. We can give them the next opportunity to serve for 30 years. And so you hit the nail on the head. We've got, in 2012, we opened the World Class Aquatic Center here in Chesterfield. And that was a $14.2 million facility. It's got a replacement cost today of $35 million.
Right.
It's a major venue. We'll get into that in a minute, I'm sure. But at the end of the day, that's not what you need on every street corner.
Right.
What you need on every street corner is a pool where people can learn to swim and where the community can come together. It is truly a town square where people get to know each other.
Right.
And it is incredible how important aquatics are to the fabric of our community. Yeah. But we've got to make sure it's in every neighborhood.
Yeah.
It's in every community, micro community within Richmond, right? From north, south, east to west. And that's what SwimRVA is here to do and here to champion. And we're excited. Yeah.
You mentioned the facilities here in Chesterfield. I think it's really interesting because I want to talk a little bit more about the Learning to Swim or Swim to Learn program. The idea that you're going to take second graders from, I think it's 6 different districts, and basically take them through essentially a course, right, of learning how to swim. I find that to be that sort of community engagement, that sort of community involvement, to be not just noteworthy, but also really interesting. How did that sort of come to be, and how did you guys get involved in it?
Oh, I love telling this story, and this is a story that Chesterfield is at the core of. All right, so let's go backwards.
Okay.
All right, so here we are, we're in the mid-'90s.
All right.
Communities and Schools at Chesterfield County. CIS at Chesterfield is being led by a really dynamic executive director, Martha Fricker. And Martha got together with the YMCA and some funders and said, you know what, we really want to teach kids to swim, especially in our Title I schools where it's needed most. And so she started in Bellwood, Bensley, and Chalkley, right here in Chesterfield. And the idea is that kids would get on a bus, and if it's 15 minutes or less to the pool, and in this case, it was a Manchester Y. We're going to provide 7 free swimming lessons. And the idea is, can we take kids in 7 lessons and they have the ability to kick on their front and back for 15 feet or more. So if they fell in a body of water, they could get to the side and save themselves. Can we teach them about water safety during that process? And the answer was a resounding yes. So it started here in Chesterfield. From there, the YMCA took off and they started offering it throughout the city of Richmond. And so then we get to 2012. The city of Richmond has the program. SwimRVA is coming on board, and 3 schools in Chesterfield have the program. We came here to champion it, give it a megaphone, and say, look, every school, every district, and every school division. And so we started advocating for that. We started meeting with superintendents, assistant superintendents, school principals, PTAs, PTOs, all the way across the board, because there's a lot of people that have to get on board and say yes to this, because we're talking about a program that's during the school day.
During the school day,
And today, this is a collaborative story that there are 14 school divisions, 14 contiguous school divisions who now offer a Learn to Swim program for second graders as part of the school day. SwimRVA is not doing all that work.
Right.
We work in 6 school divisions, and we work with 31 schools. 15 of those are here in Chesterfield County. But the YMCA, SwimRVA, Nova, Virginia, those are the agencies that are working together and they're telling a collaborative story. It is unbelievable that we can tell this story where there isn't really ownership of it, but we have made this a priority to teach our kids to swim, to eradicate unintentional drowning the best way we know how, and that's to actually teach people to swim. That's happening here in Central Virginia. And we hope one day we're talking about a story that goes across the Commonwealth.
It's funny because before we switch to a different topic, I remember being a watchdog at my daughter's school and seeing kids coming off the bus with their towels on their shoulder. And I remember the first time because this was new to me, right? And I was like, I asked a teacher, I was like, where are those kids coming from? Because this was like not a time when kids should be in and to find out more about that program, it's fascinating. But then at the same token, you mentioned earlier, you made a joke about, we can't really run, the 4Ks and such at a certain age. But seniors is such an important group of people that, if you look around society, especially now that we've gotten so, digital focused, we've gotten sort of detached from those spaces, for example, right? The places that people would come and congregate. seniors, that isolation is a real problem. And the work that you guys do with seniors and the opportunities to not just have the, from a physical health standpoint, but also a mental health, being around people, that connection piece. Talk to me a little bit about what you guys offer for seniors and the impact that makes.
Oh, it's mission critical. So if you think about across the whole age spectrum, I mean, in water, we get to remove gravity from the equation, right? I mean, my knees hurt here sitting today, right? I'm 47 years old, and, I used to run the Richmond Marathon. And, it's so important to stay physically active. As we look at our boomer population, as we look at all of us as we age, the magic is keeping us aging in place. We want to stay in our homes, and that's where we don't want to have to we don't want to be in an institution, and we don't want to institutionalize, people as they get older.
Right.
And we can't afford it.
Right.
And at the end of the day, the way to do that is motion is lotion, and we've got to get in the water, and we've got to stay healthy, active, and fit. And, I go far enough to say aquatics are such critical infrastructure that without it, right, I don't know how we handle our boomers. I don't know how we handle this generation that's so massive. Yeah. And we need water in every corner. And then we got to program it. And we've got to make sure that people are there to engage. Yeah. And to your point, when we bring people together, it's really about that social connection. Yeah. As much as it is about the physical activity. Absolutely. Because when we lose that social connection, we leave our house, a few less times each week, that's when we really start to deteriorate. That's when our minds start to go. Right. And the pools can be that place of freedom and an opportunity for us at any age. And so we need them. We need them everywhere.
Absolutely. And I know from, like I said, I got into swimming several years ago, and it's been great for me. And just the different, whether it's different people, all walks of life, all different ages that I see in the other laps also swimming. But then also you see the classes and the different, opportunities that folks have to get in the water. And it is, pretty remarkable to think about the way it all stretches.
It's really cool. So we in Chesterfield alone, we have 600 seniors a week that come to our group exercise classes. And it is such an incredible community. But here we are. We've got 600 seniors a week coming, and the majority of their classwork is in the mornings. Yeah. And they're exercising, they're having a good time, they're getting to know each other. But then the kids come in off the bus, just like you described. Yeah. And so we've really leaned into that and said, hey, how would you guys like to teach kids to swim? There you go. When you look at the Learn to Swim program, because it is during the school day, these are not high schoolers, right? Like they're lifeguards that are also teaching. These are seniors for the most part that are in the water. When you look at the multi-generational learning that is happening in the water, it is a beautiful thing. Absolutely. And there's purpose for people when they're teaching, and to be able to learn, as a youngster from someone that's, much older than you is such a joy and such a treat and such a gift.
One of the things, talk about, treats and gifts, and this for folks like me who work in the county government, the idea of economic impact is you can never be too far away from trying to get your hands around that story. And in terms of what SwimRVA brings to the communities, to the area, I don't think you can put too fine a point on it when you describe the sort of consistent economic impact that sports tourism, sports in general can mean for an area. And I know that given, the world-class nature of what you guys are doing, and the types of opportunities that brings, what that means for the bottom line of the county, what it means so not only are you doing such good work in the community, but then you're also helping the community in terms of an economic impact. Talk to me a little about sort of the way that those tournaments and those events, the way that they change the sort of complexion of the economic piece of things in these communities.
No doubt. What is happening here in Chesterfield is unreal. When we built the Aquatic Center and opened in 2012, the pro forma and the idea was that we would host, 10 regional competitions a year and bring people in. And, that happened quite quickly. But then it started to grow. Right. And we really broke through in 2018 when we had our first national level contest with USA Swimming Futures. We were hosting Eastern Zone meets since 2012. We were hosting state championships. We were doing all kinds of things. Right. But then we really broke through in 2018. Today, there are 36 weekends. There are multi-day events that are happening at the Aquatic Center, and people are coming from all over. Mm-hmm. Here's what's really cool. So across town at Regency Mall, Nova, Virginia just opened up a 50-meter pool.
Right.
It's a beautiful pool. They've got a wonderful mezzanine with seating in it and whatnot, and they can host large events too.
Right.
And in a locality our size, to have two facilities like that, one might think is a threat, one might think is a problem.
Right.
But here's what's cool. Ever since that opened, we've had to get very entrepreneurial, and we're starting to bring people in from much further.
Yeah.
Not only are we up 16%.
Okay.
Right. Our fiscal year is the same as the county's. We're up 16% in terms of total visitors or total participation in our events.
Gotcha.
The makeup of those events, we're up 37% in visitors.
Okay.
That's people that are outside the 50-mile radius from Richmond.
Yep.
And the majority of those are from outside the state.
Interesting.
So over the years, SwimRVA has been able to build up this reputation of running world-class events and a world-class aquatic center.
Right.
We were able to lean into that.
Yeah.
We were able to call New York, call Philadelphia, call Pittsburgh, call Raleigh, call Charlotte, call those teams and say, look, you came here for USA Swimming Futures. You came here for a super sectional. You came here for the Tier Pro Swim Series. You came here when we hosted the Toyota US Open. How about coming back?
Yeah, right.
Well, you know what? I loved it when we were there.
Yeah.
That was amazing. We loved the locality. We loved the venue. You guys run a great meet. We'd love to come back. What you got?
Yep.
And so we've been creating homegrown events over the last 3 years that are selling out and are bringing people from up and down the Eastern Seaboard. We're up 36% of our makeup of visitors our athletes and families coming in. We're up 36% in terms of the visitor count.
Yeah.
And we're up 16% overall in terms of the total volume.
Right.
That is an unbelievable story. And meanwhile, across town, at Nova, Virginia, at Regency Mall, the place is booming.
Yeah.
It is a win for our region.
Absolutely.
It's not about competition. It's like the Learn to Swim program. If we work together, big things happen. Yeah. We're now supporting 2 major venues, and we're bringing people in. Our region is winning. Yeah. And aquatics is a big part of that. Let me talk about the numbers real quick. Of the events that we're bringing in, this year we're going to we estimate when we conclude here in July, we estimate that we're gonna crest $9 million for the first time in terms of economic impact. Wow. Those are people coming in and the money that they're spending in our hotels and our restaurants, in our businesses. Yep. $9 million. All right, now let's break that down a little bit further. When we look at the total tax revenue, so you come and you stay in a hotel, 8% the lodging tax, and then there's 1% sales tax. That comes right back to Chesterfield County. Right. 9% of every dollar spent is going directly into the county coffers, into the general fund. Right. That money is real. This year it's going to be $459,000. When you take a look at that over 20 or 25 years span, that's a $16 million of just tax revenue that's going directly into the county. That funds our schools, our police, our fire, our parks. Those are big numbers. That's starting to be real impact. Yeah. And at the end of the day, I'm really proud that, here I am. I'm a swim nerd, right? I grew up swimming. I was a pool, gadfly. I was walking around, talking to everybody. I loved being there. And then I started coaching, and I got handed this world-class aquatic center. I knew nothing about how to run a world-class aquatic center or an organization.
Feels like you maybe figured it out.
I think found a couple of, I'll tell you what, I had great coaches.
There you go.
I had great mentors. And here we are today talking about numbers like this. Yeah. And we're talking about something that has been really important to creating the aquatic culture and being part of the fabric of our entire region. We're talking about something that's going outside of the Richmond region in 14 jurisdictions. Yeah. Here's another fun stat. When we started in 2012, there was competitive high school swimming at the varsity level in Colonial Heights and Hanover. Maggie Walker Governor School had a team, but that was it. Yeah. That was it. Out of those 14 jurisdictions that now have a Learn to Swim program, 13 of them sponsor competitive swimming at the varsity level. When you take a look at that in terms of numbers, we're over 1,200 varsity athletic spots for girls and boys during the winter months in swimming that weren't there before. Yeah. And we've had massive growth on the independent schools as well.
I bet. Because when I'm not that old. I'm old, but I'm not that old. I remember the idea of having swimming as a varsity sport in the state of Virginia just seemed preposterous, right? That was not something that happened here. And now it's something that happens here.
It happens.
Let me get you out of here on this one. I always like to give folks a chance at the end if they have anything they want to make sure, that they mention or anything that's coming up. But what do you want people to know about SwimRVA? What do you want people to walk away from listening to this podcast? What do you want them to take home?
Well, a couple of different things. So, you just asked an executive director of a nonprofit, what do you want people to know? And I'm going to try and answer that in 60 seconds. But at the end of the day, right, we've got this world-class aquatic center here in Chesterfield County that's doing massive things, that's inspiring so much good in our community. And it is time to reinvest in that. It is time to expand it. It is time to add to it so that we can do even bigger and better things. And that's going to be really important as we look at the next 15 years of SwimRVA and certainly the Aquatic Center in Chesterfield. And then I also want to leave with this. So one of the things that we also work on, our vision is a drown-proof Richmond. And we work on, not only is it about teaching people to swim, it is about inspiring a workforce, a professional workforce that is empowering all of our pools to do great work, not just stay operable, not just stay well-guarded with professional rescuers, but then to have great programming that reaches people across the age spectrum. And at SwimRVA 2 years ago, this was a big strategic shift. We really started to lean into this idea that we needed to do this at scale. And we were serving and training something in the neighborhood of 300 lifeguards and lifeguard instructors, maybe 10 or 20 lifeguard instructors every year. Last year, we certified 720 lifeguards, lifeguard instructors, and certified pool operators. And our goal is this year to hit 1,000.
Nice.
Right. We estimate that there's 5,000 to 6,000 lifeguards operating in the summer in the Richmond region. Right. A lot of those lifeguards, they age out. They go to college, right? They do whatever. We've got to replenish, we estimate, somewhere between 1,500 to 1,700 lifeguards every single year to keep our pools well guarded and safe. That takes a lot of lifeguard instructors. That takes a lot of pool time, a lot of classroom time, and it takes a lot of professionals. We got to keep our pools open. We got to keep them operable. In 2023, the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal estimated that 33% of our public swimming pools in America weren't going to open that summer. Not because they didn't have funding, not because they weren't appropriated or well taken care of. They quite simply didn't have the staff. And so we're going to make sure that never happens. And we never tell that story in the Richmond region. But what's more is we're going to professionalize the industry. And so I want to say to everybody who works in aquatics, thank you for what you do. You're really important. You're necessary. You matter. And this is a wonderful place to live because of the work that you put in. These are jobs of service back to our community.
Absolutely.
And I really admire everybody who chooses this as a profession. I admire everyone who gets involved in this and it's their first job like yourself. And I just want to say thank you to all of them that are doing great work out there.
Good stuff. Well, Adam, thank you so much for coming on the show and talking to us about SwimRVA and all the the myriad of ways that, not only is SwimRVA impacting the community, but the community is being impacted, around aquatics in general. I think it's awesome. So really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. This has been a real pleasure.
Thanks, man. All right. Make sure you check us out on social media. On Twitter, it's @ChesterfieldVA, and on Instagram, it's Chesterfield, Virginia, all one word. And on Facebook, you can check out our podcast page. Just search Chesterfield Behind the Mic. Now, make sure to follow or subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Overcast, or wherever it is that your shows are sold. And if you're so inclined to give us a rating or review, we appreciate it. As always, a video version of our show is available on our YouTube channel as well as on our website at Chesterfield.gov/podcast. That's where you can submit feedback anytime, make a suggestion, or just reach out to us. You can watch the show on WCCT Thursday through Sunday at 7, on the weekends at noon. That is Comcast Channel 98 and Verizon Channel 28. Lastly, check out Chesterfield.gov/connect with us to find out a number of other ways to connect with Chesterfield County. Now, thanks to my director, Martin Stith, my executive producer, Teresa, Bonifas, and all the good folks from Constituent Media Services for all they do. And my thanks to you for joining us today. So from all of us here in Chesterfield, thanks again for making us a part of your day. We'll see you again real soon. Take good care. From blogs to podcasts.
And I'm very glad to tell you that Chesterfield Behind the Mic is on the air once again.
Weekly video segments and newsletters.
Social media, the latest community news.
And this is your Chesterfield News Minute for September 19th.
How to get in touch, and everything in between. If you want to know about Chesterfield County, our Connect With Us webpage has you covered. Chesterfield.gov/connect with us. Connect with us, your source for all things Chesterfield.